opening, engaging hook. There comes a time in everyone's life when silence becomes louder than words, when your reaction is exactly what others are waiting for, so they can control your story. But what if you chose not to react? What if, instead of being predictable, you became powerful, not by force, not by anger, but by control? Because the truth is simple. The one who reacts least rules most. Introduction. The why. In a world full of noise, chaos, and opinions, people want you to react. They test your patience, they challenge your peace, they push your buttons, not because they are strong, but because they know you are, and the moment you react, you hand them the remote control of your emotions. You lose the quiet strength that could have built something great. So today, I want to share with you the secret that built nations, guided leaders, and shaped legacies. React to nothing, control everything. Body, core message, one power lies in calmness. Storms don't last forever, but calm minds outlast every storm. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being emotionally intelligent. When chaos comes, don't match its energy. Lower your speed, not your vision. Greatness doesn't come from reacting, it comes from responding with clarity. True emotional discipline is your greatest weapon. You cannot control others, but you can always control yourself. When you train your emotions, there comes a moment in everyone's life when silence speaks louder than any word you could ever say. In that moment, your reaction or your restraint defines you far more than your achievements, your title, or your wealth. I want you to imagine this. You walk into a room where everyone doubts you, questions your ability, and silently predicts your failure. Now, most people will react, some with anger, some with defense, and some by walking away in frustration. But a rare few will simply smile, say nothing, and let time speak for them. That ability to react to nothing is not weakness. It's mastery. It's the highest form of self-control. Because when you no longer allow the noise of the world to dictate your emotions, you begin to control everything that truly matters: your peace, your direction, your energy, and your destiny. In today's world, we live in constant reaction. Someone posts something negative about us, we react. Someone disagrees with us, we react. Someone gets ahead of us, we react. But ask yourself, what happens when you react instantly? You give away your power. You hand over control of your emotions, your time, and your focus to someone who may not even matter in the long run. Reacting is easy, but controlling your response? That takes strength, wisdom, and patience. Three qualities that separate ordinary people from extraordinary leaders. Greatness has never been about noise. It has always been about calm. Every person who has achieved something remarkable in life has learned to remain centered even when surrounded by chaos. They understood that silence doesn't mean inaction. It means direction. It means you are choosing your next move carefully, not emotionally. When someone insults you, silence confuses them. When someone doubts you, silence challenges them. When someone provokes you, silence protects you. That's why reacting to nothing doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care deeply about what truly matters. Your purpose. Let me share something from experience, not from a book, but from life itself. There were times when people criticized decisions that later changed industries. There were times when silence was misinterpreted as weakness. But in truth, silence was the foundation of strength, because reacting emotionally might satisfy your ego for a moment, but staying calm builds your legacy for a lifetime. When you choose not to react, you begin to observe more. You start noticing what others miss, the intent behind the words, the opportunity behind the insult, the lesson behind the loss. This awareness becomes your power. You stop seeing life as a battlefield and start seeing it as a chessboard. Every move becomes deliberate, strategic, and aligned with your vision. Control is not about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. The greatest victories are not won against others, but within your own mind. When your mind is calm, your decision-making becomes sharp. When your emotions are stable, your relationships deepen. And when your energy is directed inward, you create an unshakable foundation that nothing external can break. But this mastery requires practice. It requires patience. It requires you to face situations that test your calm every single day, and to remind yourself that your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Every time you refuse to react to negativity, you are training your mind to rise above it. You are telling yourself, I choose my battles, and this one isn't worth my energy. Think of the calm ocean. Beneath its surface lies immense power, yet it never needs to prove its strength through noise. In the same way, the calmest minds often carry the greatest force. They don't rush. They don't fight every storm. They simply outlast it. So the next time someone provokes you or a situation pushes you to your limits, remember this: your reaction is your signature. It tells the world who you are, what you value, and how much power you hold over yourself. If you can master the art of not reacting impulsively, you can control your destiny deliberately. React to nothing. Not because you don't feel, but because you understand. Not because you're indifferent, but because you're focused. And not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to let silence do the talking. This is the essence of leadership, the foundation of peace, and the quiet secret behind every person who has ever controlled the uncontrollable themselves. There is a small but powerful difference between reacting and responding, a difference that decides whether you live your life in chaos or in control. Most people react instantly to what happens around them. A word spoken in anger, a disappointment, a failure, an insult. These things trigger a storm inside, and before they know it, their words, their emotions, and even their decisions are taken over by that moment of reaction. But responding is different. Responding means taking a breath, observing, understanding, and then choosing your action with wisdom, not with impulse. The strongest people are not those who never feel anger or pain. They are the ones who can feel it fully and still decide how to act wisely when something goes wrong. Your first instinct might be to raise your voice, defend yourself, or blame someone else. But what happens after that reaction? You might feel relief for a moment, but often regret soon follows. You wish you had waited, thought, or said something different. That is the price of reacting without reflection. Responding, on the other hand, creates space between emotion and action. That small pause, that moment of stillness, becomes the birthplace of clarity. In that space, you don't lose yourself to the situation. You rediscover your control over it. Every day, life gives us countless opportunities to practice this. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your boss criticizes your work. A friend breaks your trust. A plan fails. In each of these moments, you have two choices: to react like fire or to respond like light. Fire burns everything around it. Light reveals everything clearly. The one who reacts lives in the moment. The one who responds lives for the long term. Reaction satisfies your ego. Response strengthens your character. Learning to respond doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means guiding them. Emotions are not your enemies. They are signals, indicators of what matters to you. But when they control you, they can mislead you. When you learn to channel them, they can empower you. Imagine a leader who stays calm when a project fails. Their calmness gives their team hope, direction, and focus. Now imagine another leader who panics, blames others, or gives up. The failure doesn't destroy them. Their reaction does. That's the difference between control and chaos, between leadership and loss. Responding is also about perspective. When something goes wrong, it is easy to think, why did this happen to me? But a responder asks, what can I learn from this? The moment you shift from blame to understanding, from frustration to growth, you stop being a victim and start being the author of your story. You stop reacting to life and you start creating it. That mindset separates dreamers from doers and ordinary people from those who quietly shape history. It takes courage to stay calm when everyone around you is losing their temper. It takes strength to think clearly when emotions are pulling you in every direction. And it takes maturity to accept that you cannot control everything that happens, but you can always control how you handle it. That acceptance is freedom. Because when you learn to respond, you realize that your happiness, your peace, and your purpose no longer depend on other people's actions or words. They depend only on your choice. Sometimes silence is the best response, not because you have nothing to say, but because your energy is too precious to waste on meaningless battles. Other times, a single thoughtful sentence can achieve more than an hour of argument. The world may expect you to react quickly, to prove yourself, to fight back, but your power lies in restraint. Your calmness disarms aggression. Your patience confuses negativity, and your wisdom outlasts every attack. To respond rather than react is to live with intention. You begin to act from understanding rather than emotion, from vision rather than impulse. Your relationships become stronger because you listen more than you argue. Your decisions become wiser because you think more than you assume. And your life becomes simpler because you no longer chase every noise. You focus only on what truly matters. Over time, this habit builds something extraordinary inside you. You become centered. You stop being shaken by every insult, disappointment, or delay. You start seeing challenges as tests of your discipline, not threats to your peace. You begin to realize that your calmness is not passive. It is powerful. It allows you to handle storms with dignity and success with humility. So when the next difficult moment comes, and it will, take a breath. Feel your emotions, but don't let them control you. Observe the situation as if you are watching it from a distance. Ask yourself, if I react now, what will I gain? But if I respond, what might I build? Most of the time, reaction will give you temporary satisfaction. Response will give you long-term peace. And that peace, that stability, that quiet power within you will become your greatest strength in a noisy, unpredictable world. The world may never notice the moments you choose not to react, but those moments will shape who you become. Every time you stay calm, you protect your dignity. Every time you respond thoughtfully, you build your legacy. To react is human. To respond is divine. And when you master this art, you don't just control your actions, you begin to control the direction of your entire life. There is a strange truth about life that most people realize too late. The more you chase something, the further it seems to run from you. Whether it's success, respect, peace, or love. When your energy comes from desperation, life resists you. But when your energy comes from calm confidence, life starts flowing in your direction. When you stop chasing, things start finding you. That's not magic, that's mastery. Because when your focus shifts from needing everything to improving yourself, everything begins to align naturally. People often mistake stillness for inactivity. They think if they stop chasing, they'll fall behind. But the opposite is true. When you chase too hard, you lose your direction. You start running faster without realizing you're running in circles. The world has trained us to keep moving, keep fighting, keep proving. But have you ever noticed that some of the most successful and peaceful people rarely rush? They walk with purpose, not pressure. They don't beg for opportunities. They attract them through preparation, patience, and quiet confidence. When you stop chasing people, you attract respect. When you stop chasing validation, you build self-worth. When you stop chasing outcomes, you create freedom. The key is to replace chasing with becoming. Instead of asking, how can I get this? Start asking, how can I grow into the kind of person who naturally attracts this? The difference is subtle but life-changing. Because chasing comes from lack, becoming comes from strength. Imagine water flowing down a mountain. It doesn't chase the rocks or resist the obstacles. It simply flows around them, and somehow it always finds its way to the ocean. That's how life works. When you stop resisting, forcing, or begging and start trusting your direction, you begin to move with the natural flow of your journey. That's when doors you never knocked on start opening. That's when people you never begged for start supporting you. And that's when life stops being a race and starts becoming a rhythm. The truth is, when you chase too hard, you send a message to the universe that you don't believe you're enough without what you're chasing. That energy pushes things away. But when you stay focused, composed, and grounded in your values, you send a message of strength. And strength attracts. The world responds differently to someone who is calm, consistent, and quietly confident. It's the same in relationships, in work, in dreams. When you chase someone's attention, they pull away. When you work silently on yourself, that same attention comes naturally. Every great achiever has gone through this transition, from chasing approval to earning respect, from demanding results to deserving them. When you learn to let go of control over how and when things happen, and instead focus on becoming prepared when they do happen, you stop being anxious and start being effective. The future favors the ready, not the restless. And readiness doesn't come from chasing. It comes from preparation and patience. This doesn't mean you sit still and do nothing. It means you stop running blindly and start walking deliberately. You stop saying, I need this, and start saying, I'm ready for this. You shift your energy from fear to faith, from trying to trusting. Because the moment you stop chasing, your mind becomes clear enough to see new paths, new solutions, and new opportunities that chasing would have blinded you to. Think of a farmer planting seeds. He doesn't dig them up every morning to see if they've grown. He waters them, protects them, and trusts the process. Chasing results too early ruins the harvest. Life is no different. When you do your part with discipline and sincerity, what's meant for you will grow, even when you can't see it yet. Impatience kills progress. Trust fuels it. So stop running after success as if it's escaping from you. It's not. It's waiting for you to become ready. Focus on learning instead of longing. Focus on building instead of begging. Focus on improving your character instead of impressing the world. Because when you reach that state where your peace is unshakable, your goals start moving toward you. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You'll notice this shift in your life slowly. The people who once ignored you will start noticing you. The opportunities you once chased will start appearing naturally. The chaos that once consumed you will fade into clarity. Why? Because you stopped running after everything outside and started mastering everything inside. And when the inside is strong, the outside follows. So take a step back. Breathe. Trust your timing. Work quietly. Move wisely and stay grounded. The things you deserve will not pass you by. The people meant for you will not need chasing. The success meant for you will not need begging. When you stop chasing, you start choosing. And when you start choosing peace, focus, and purpose over chaos and desperation, you don't just attract what you want, you attract what's right. In the end, life rewards the calm, not the restless, the ones who wait with wisdom, not the ones who rush with worry. So don't chase, grow, don't demand, deserve, and don't force things to happen. Prepare yourself so that when they do, you're ready to receive them with grace. Because the truth is simple. When you stop chasing, everything that's truly yours will start chasing you. Grace is one of the most underestimated powers a person can possess, especially in moments of pressure. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy, but only a few can maintain dignity, clarity, and composure when everything starts to fall apart. It is in those moments that true character is revealed. Grace under pressure is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about facing adversity without losing your balance. It's about handling storms with quiet strength, not loud emotion. The world may measure your success by your results, but life measures your greatness by how you behave when those results don't come easily. Pressure is something we all experience. It comes in many forms: failure, criticism, responsibility, loss, or uncertainty. Most people panic when pressure builds. They react emotionally, rush their decisions, and let fear dictate their actions. But those who rise above it treat pressure differently. They see it as a teacher, not a threat. They understand that diamonds are created only when carbon is put under intense pressure. The same rule applies to people. Without challenges, you remain ordinary. With them, you evolve into something stronger, wiser, and far more capable than before. Grace under pressure begins with acceptance. Instead of fighting the situation, you embrace it. You tell yourself, this is my test. Once you stop resisting, you start thinking clearly. Panic clouds the mind, but calmness clears it. When you face difficulty with a steady heart, you gain the ability to see solutions others miss. The calm person doesn't avoid challenges. They simply refuse to be consumed by them. That calmness becomes their secret advantage. There is a quiet kind of power in refusing to let circumstances dictate your behavior. Imagine a leader whose company is going through a crisis. Employees are nervous, investors are losing faith, and the media is full of negativity. In that moment, everyone looks to the leader. If that leader reacts with fear, the whole organization collapses. But if the leader stands tall, speaks softly, and moves wisely, people regain hope. Grace becomes contagious. The calm energy of one person can stabilize the chaos of many. Pressure is not something to avoid. It is something to prepare for. Every obstacle you face, every moment of uncertainty is an opportunity to strengthen your grace. Each time you choose patience over panic, you build emotional resilience. Each time you stay polite under provocation, you build inner strength. Grace is not weakness, it is quiet confidence. It means knowing that losing control will not change your reality, but keeping control might change your destiny. When you are graceful under pressure, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That single shift in mindset transforms suffering into growth. You begin to see failure as feedback, not finality. You realize that life's toughest chapters often write your strongest character. Every challenge becomes a mirror showing you who you truly are and who you can still become. Pressure will expose your habits. Some people break, some people bend, and a few people build. Ones who build are those who've learned the art of staying graceful no matter what happens. They speak with kindness even when they're angry. They stay humble even when they're powerful. They keep their integrity even when it's easier to compromise. That is what grace looks like. It's not in your words, it's in your choices. You might not be able to control what comes your way, but you can always control how you carry yourself through it. The most respected people in history are not remembered just for their victories, but for their calmness in crisis. Their composure became their legacy. When you handle adversity with grace, you inspire others silently. People might forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Steady, hopeful, and safe in your presence. Think of grace as the light that stays lit even when the storm rages around it. It doesn't flicker wildly, it burns steadily, guiding others through the darkness. And here's the most beautiful part. Pressure eventually passes, but how you handle it leaves a permanent mark. The same storm that destroys one person can shape another into a leader. The difference lies in grace. Every time life tests you, remind yourself that it's not about winning the fight, it's about winning your composure. You can lose an opportunity, a friend, or a battle. But if you don't lose your grace, you haven't really lost. Because grace keeps your mind strong, your heart kind, and your soul steady enough to rebuild again. Pressure might bend you, but grace ensures you don't break. So, the next time you face a tough moment, don't rush to escape it. Stand in it, breathe through it. Let your silence be your strength and your calmness be your courage. Speak gently when you feel like shouting. Move wisely when you feel like reacting. And remember that your grace today is building your greatness tomorrow. The truth is simple. Anyone can succeed when conditions are perfect, but only the graceful thrive when the world turns against them. Pressure is temporary, but the strength you build through it lasts a lifetime. Keep your composure, protect your peace, and trust that every storm is preparing you for sunlight. Because when you face adversity with grace, you don't just survive, you rise. The greatest victory any person can ever achieve is not over another human being, not over a competitor, and not even over the challenges that life throws their way. The greatest victory is over oneself. Mastering yourself before mastering the world is the foundation of all success, peace, and wisdom. Without self-mastery, no amount of talent, wealth, or intelligence can sustain greatness. Because the truth is, you can conquer mountains, but if you can't conquer your own emotions, your achievements will feel empty. You can win the world's praise, but if you can't control your pride, you will lose yourself in the process. Self-mastery is the art of understanding, guiding, and elevating your own mind. It's about becoming so aware of your inner world that no external event can disturb your balance. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control others, trying to make people agree with them, like them, or follow them. But real control doesn't come from changing others. It comes from changing yourself. When you master your reactions, your habits, and your thoughts, you naturally begin to influence everything around you without forcing it. The world follows those who have learned to lead themselves first. The journey to mastering yourself begins with self-awareness. You must be brave enough to look within, to face your fears, insecurities, and weaknesses without judgment. Most people avoid this because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to blame the world than to correct yourself. But every time you choose honesty over ego, you grow. You begin to understand why you react a certain way, why certain things trigger you, and why you fall into the same mistakes. Once you see your patterns clearly, you can begin to change them. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. The next stage is discipline. Self-mastery is impossible without discipline. You can't expect to control your life if you can't control your time, your words, or your habits. Discipline means doing what is right even when it's not easy. It means staying calm when you want to explode, staying silent when you want to argue, and staying focused when distractions call your name. Every act of discipline strengthens your control over your mind, and once your mind listens to you, the world starts listening too. Emotional control is another pillar of self-mastery. Life will always test your patience, your peace, and your strength. People will provoke you. Situations will frustrate you, and failure will try to break you, but the one who has mastered himself doesn't fall into these traps. He doesn't let anger make his decisions, fear dictate his path, or pride close his ears. He feels everything deeply but still acts wisely. That balance, feeling deeply yet acting calmly, is the mark of true power. You also learn to let go. Mastering yourself means releasing the need to control everything outside you. You realize that you cannot change how people think or how life unfolds, but you can always choose your response. You stop expecting perfection from others and start working on excellence within yourself. You stop trying to win every argument and start seeking peace instead. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means growing up. It's the understanding that some battles are not worth fighting, especially the ones that cost you your inner peace. Patience plays a quiet but vital role in this process. Self-mastery doesn't happen overnight. It requires time, effort, and countless tests from life. Every delay teaches endurance. Every setback strengthens focus. Every mistake polishes wisdom. The path of self-control is not a straight line. It's a spiral. You keep returning to old lessons with deeper understanding each time. The goal is not to become perfect, but to become steady. To face every situation without losing your values or your peace. When you master yourself, you stop being a slave to emotions, habits, or opinions. You no longer need approval because your confidence comes from within. You don't get easily offended because you know who you are. You don't rush into decisions because you understand timing. You don't chase temporary satisfaction because you value long-term peace. This kind of control doesn't make you emotionless. It makes you unshakable. And that is a power no one can give you or take away from you. People who master themselves don't need to prove their strength through words or aggression. Their calm presence commands respect. Their actions speak louder than speeches. They make decisions with purpose, lead with humility, and inspire without trying to impress. The world naturally trusts those who have mastered their own storms because they know such people can handle anything without losing direction. Self-mastery is not about controlling life. It's about controlling your inner state so that life cannot control you. When you reach that level of balance, success no longer makes you arrogant and failure no longer makes you hopeless. You become consistent in spirit, steady in mind, and gentle in heart. And from that place of inner strength, you can lead, love, and create freely. So, before you try to lead others, learn to lead yourself. Before you try to change the world, change your mindset. Before you seek power, build patience. Because the one who conquers the world may rule for a moment, but the one who conquers himself rules forever. Mastering yourself is not the end of your journey. It's the beginning of everything that truly matters.